Welcome to Porcelain Peak, a strange and scary podcast dissecting all things horror and sci-fi. Here are your hosts, or what's left of them, Tone, John, and Anthony. Enjoy the trivia while you can.
Hello, welcome to season 4 of Porcelain Peak.
You gotta do it like, welcome
back
to Creature Camp.
to Creature Camp. There you go. Presented by wordsforriddles.com. Per usual, this week we are continuing with Creature Camp.
Creature
We got... Is that our Creature Camp song? Let's get through this and then get going.
Fly me to the camp and let me play among the sores. Okay.
We done?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, guys. That was mediocre.
Don't send me a meteor.
No, we're done!
At Jupiter and Mars.
For Chop Talk, we are going to be talking about Jaws and some other shit.
Okay.
Then we're going to play trivia.
You mean Chomp Talk?
Chomp Talk, yeah. You're a fucking joke stealer. And then we're playing trivia. Main discussion, we're talking about Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. And then for our final cut, we're talking about Stranger Things 4.3 and Obi-Wan 1.4. Is that right?
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Sick. Nailed it.
You and your numbers.
So we're going to take that axe and chop some asses.
Fly me to the moon.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
Before we get started, John, Anthony, how are you guys? Recording on a Monday. Would be weird for us, but it's been getting pretty normal that we don't do Wednesdays anymore.
My schedule's just been a real shitstorm. But I
I'm
have
a granddad that goes to bed at like 9.
I've been having a fantastic time playing the new Supermassive game, The Quarry.
Never heard of either of those things.
I have seen Twitter blowing up about it. Apparently, it's a very good game. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes.
Just kidding. Nobody cares. Moving on. Video games are for nerds. No, I actually want to hear about it. Go ahead, John.
So The Quarry is about this group of camp counselors who are at the end of their summer camp. And they, for whatever reason, they all don't leave at the very end. There's more to the story that I won't spoil. But they get stuck, and then crazy shit ensues through the evening.
Nice.
That's cool. That's on PlayStation?
PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. I'm
PlayStation
playing.
1?
Yeah, I'm playing it on.
Back then it was just called PlayStation.
Yeah.
Playing it on Xbox with Ashley the intern. It's been a blast. You can select of the character list. You can select who plays what characters, and so it switches back and forth. You just hand the controller over.
That's cool.
Remember Until Dawn? It's the same people that make that similar style.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it has Ted Raimi in it. It has Lin Shaye in it. It has Brenda Song in it. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's a ton of. Oh, and it has David Arquette in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You cannot kill David Arquette.
But it has been a lot of fun so far. I think we should definitely give her a spinskies on the Twitch when we ever get that back up and going.
It's that camp time of year. It sounds right up our alley.
It does.
Yeah, I've been doing well. I got through the Jurassic Park movies. Didn't want to jump straight into the Jurassic World movies, I would have
reasons?
Well, yeah, I really was dreading them. But since I was kind of on that train of scaly monsters, I decided to rewatch or start rewatching all of the MonsterVerse Godzilla movies, like the ones that started in 2014. So that's as far as I've gotten. As I rewatched 2014's Godzilla. That movie is really cool, but not a very great Godzilla movie. But I love what Gareth Edwards was trying to do, which is also why I rewatched Rogue One, because Gareth Edwards just makes very gorgeous looking movies.
Plus, chunky Godzilla. We love a chunky
Godzilla. So next up will be Kong Skull Island. Since we're not really featuring King Kong at any point in our Creature Camp as far as we know, I thought I would show him a little love by revisiting that movie, because I remember not liking it, but I've only seen it once. So
Kong Skull Ireland.
I want to do a couple of shout outs.
Go ahead. Shout.
First,
Shout.
over on YouTube, if you're watching, we got a new subscriber, Jason Kuckle.
Oh, careful.
Kukol. I don't know. Kuckle. Call?
Yeah.
Jason, either way, sorry for mispronouncing. Thank you for subscribing.
Jason C, you're a great...
K.
CK.
No, it's K.
That's also
Jason
also
K.
bad.
Jason K, you're a great guy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate it. So if you haven't, then, hit that, do the shit.
Yeah.
Do the damn thing.
Thanks for subscribing.
Second shout out to you, sir. By the time this episode airs, you will be a new age.
The
It's
dawning.
the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Actually, Gemini in this case, and I'm turning 30. And
Yep.
I'm going to have that Bo Burnham song queued up for right as I'm about to turn 30. I'm going to do the same thing he did. I'll set a little clock, real sad and depressed by myself. Mm-hmm. Just, I'm turning 30.
He's going to be dirty, 30, flirty, a little squirty.
Well, I don't know about any
Anyway,
of that, but
happy
I did tell.
birthday.
Thank you. I did tell you guys that I threw my neck out trying to set up the spatial audio shit with my AirPods the other day. It's like scan your ear, and I was like,
Is this what you wanted?
yeah,
It's like, yes. Yes, we did, Anthony.
yeah. So Godzilla and my bad back.
Are you going to tell him happy birthday?
You gonna tell me how
Happy future birthday.
Oh, thanks. I guess.
All right. Well, Chop Talk. I wanted to talk about Jaws. We talk about it sometimes, or we have talked about it, where it's kind of the first summer blockbuster. I think it's come up on the show quite a few times. Mm-hmm. I learned a little bit more about that whole process today, and I thought it was really interesting. So I guess movies originally didn't do a wide release. Now we think of wide release as the norm, and the limited release for smaller movies or movies that they're not really sure about.
Yeah, just movies they want to make it
Originally,
more
it
annoying for
was
us to watch.
Pretty much, yeah. Originally, it was limited release, and they would only put movies that they thought were going to tank wide, so that they can get as much money as possible before word of mouth took over.
Oh, okay.
So Jaws was might be the first to have done a massive wide release intentionally, thinking they had a hit on their hands, because that's what they thought they had a hit. So people were scrambling to finish the book for one, and people were like, okay, this movie, we got to go see it because it's a huge thing. And a lot of times these older movies that are based on books, the books are huge hits, which I just feel like doesn't happen as much anymore, not since, like, I don't know, the Hunger Games, really.
Yeah.
And even that still isn't to the same extent. So it was the first one to do that. It was also one of the first to do pre-release interviews. So they had the producers and stuff go and do interviews before the movie even came out, which is another huge thing. They also spent like $700 million on marketing. Not million, maybe 700,000. That seems too high.
So basically, they're just like setting the stage for all of the normal stuff for movie
which
releases,
is crazy
press
to think.
tours,
But
and,
Jaws
marketing.
Yeah, that, and then the toys. They had toys on the shelves already before the movie was released, so that if people wanted it, they could
Kids
go
come
get
see
it.
this movie that's going to scar you for life.
Pretty much, yeah. And we've had it happen, right?
I mean, same with the movie we're talking about in our main discussion, Jurassic Park. Like, that was toys. I had a bunch of them.
I did too. The arms fucking broke off and shit. And I was like, that's really cool. But they also took the cover of the book and just used that as the poster. So the iconic Jaws poster is from the book, not the other way around, which I think is really cool, because I hate when books take movie posters.
I only knew that because my grandma owned the book, so as a kid I like remember seeing and I remember specifically that you could see the lady's nipples on the book cover better than you could see them on the movie poster.
So I thought that was really cool. So it really was this first summer blockbuster and kind of changed the game. And then summer, like we've talked about, wasn't really a time when they would release movies. It was around the holidays.
Christmas time? Yeah.
And then because this was massively successful, it was at the time the highest grossing movie ever, and then the studio started doing the same thing, and then it became a pattern that it's a smash, and that's where we're at now. You get these giant movies, which we're talking about this week, we're talking about all summer, really. No, that is crazy. Like that's I mean, one of a million reasons why I love Jaws so much is because it not only is just a perfect movie, but it also we were just saying, set up the template for the next
50 years of movies or whatever. So
Yeah.
pretty insane. I mean, if anyone tries to argue that Steven Spielberg isn't one of the like greatest directors of all time, I mean, obviously, like just his effect on getting the PG-13 rating made, getting the summer blockbuster made, like his effect on cinema in general has been probably bigger than most other directors. So it's kind of insane. And to be going from talking about Jaws to in a little bit here talking about Jurassic Park, which is also a phenomenon and obviously has had 10 million sequels that have been not quite as bad as I would say the Jaws sequels, but
Including one directed by Spielberg himself.
Yeah, pretty nuts. I love stuff like that. Did you know Peter Benchley plays the reporter on the beach in the beach scene where there's a reporter running around and he's like, yeah, that's the writer, Peter Benchley.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's tight.
And now he is a big shark protection activist because he feels awful and wishes that he never wrote the book Jaws because of how much of a bad rap it's given sharks. Shark-infested
Well, I think
waters,
Bruce is
you
trying
mean-
to change that, and then Sylvester Stallone's character from Suicide Squad's trying to change that.
Yeah.
Should we read the Matthew Lillard quote? I feel like that was a good one. Do we want to do that or no?
Yeah, sure. Do you have it pulled up or do you want me to go through some news?
Working on
I
it.
have pulled up.
Okay, I got it right here. Yeah. So last week, I believe, we talked about how Nev Campbell turned down Scream 6 because...
Break her the fuck off because she
Are
deserves
people
more
pissed?
fucking money.
Are people mad?
People are mad.
This seems like his response is because people are mad. So I don't know. I'm not.
No, people are mad that the studio isn't breaking her off.
Oh, I see. I thought people were mad at Nev. Like, why? Like,
Oh,
are
no.
you money
I think
hungry?
everybody's
Okay.
pissed at the studio, yeah.
Yeah, so she didn't want it. She said she was worth more. She wanted more for what she did for the franchise. And Matthew Lillard came out and said, did Tom Cruise take less money for Top Gun Maverick? Fuck no, dude. So why is a woman supposed to take less? Why wouldn't you pay her more as the series goes on? And was Scream 5 a hit or not a hit? It was a smash hit. Did they make a shit ton of money? Yes. Should Nev Campbell be paid for the work she's done in 5 movies of a franchise? Yes, because she's a female lead of one of the most successful horror franchises. And just proves that he is not at all like his character.
Yeah, I can...
He's way more of a Shaggy than he is a Stu.
I can already smell a change.org petition coming. Like, get this many signatures. I mean, it'll be like release the Snyder Cut. It'll be like, bring Nev back to Scream. And, I mean, I don't know how much she actually wants that. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, we made fun of the thing in 5 of like, Sydney really just needs a break. And I'm like, honestly, give her a movie to have a break. Let the other ones deal with Ghostface for a little bit and let Sydney have a break. She deserves it.
I just want them to kill her or something. Like, finalize that story.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep going, sure, do your thing. But
Well, I feel like they kind of did finalize the story by having her, like, she's married and has kids. Like,
Yeah.
and she said that. So, like, the fact that she even showed up in 5, I'm like, really, she's pushing it to how much she should be involved. And even then she was like, I'm just here to make sure shit like is okay, and then I'm gonna bounce. And that's pretty much what she does. And I was like, that's a fine enough send off. And that just comes down to the whole, like, I don't think they need to keep making Scream movies, but
Yeah.
because you push it the farther and farther you go. But speaking of Scream, we do have more news about that movie, about Scream 6. It is going to take place in New York. So the big which, I mean, Scream movies have taken place outside of Woodsboro already, so I know a lot of people were kind of like up in arms about that immediately, and it's like
2 and 3
2 and 3
out.
both
2
are
and
not
3.
in. Yeah, but a lot of people have been making really awesome, like, Jason Takes Manhattan homage posters with Ghostface, and a lot of people have been making jokes about, like, oh, I swear to God, if it's like Gale and the new character's getting on a boat in the beginning, then I'm rioting. But
There's got to be at least one reference or joke to that.
yeah,
though.
Ghostface has to like kick over a trash can at some point or something in front of a bunch of punks.
Skateboard punks. Yeah.
Yeah. Some other news that I thought was a little bit interesting is that M. Night Shyamalan just wrapped production on his latest horror thriller, which is called Knock at the Cabin. The poster for it is very, very cool. That's pretty much all we know about it, is that he's doing another what looks to be lower budget horror thriller, which I'm always excited when he does something a little bit lower key and in the horror wheelhouse.
Put yourself in some constraints.
He also did some ghostwriting and script doctoring.
Yeah, it turned out he was the ghostwriter the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. And then this is maybe more niche news, but I was a big fan of the Castlevania show that Netflix put out. watched the whole thing and thought it was pretty awesome if you're into like Dracula and Castlevania and all that stuff. They are now putting out a sequel series called Castlevania Nocturne. The trailer came out for it. It looks dope. So if you were like me and you enjoyed the first series Castlevania, then check this out.
That's animated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then the last bit of news, or the second to last bit actually, is that we are getting a new Sleepy Hollow movie from director Lindsay Beer, who her only other credit is she apparently just wrapped production on a Pet Sematary prequel.
Wow.
So she doesn't have a movie out to really compare anything to, but...
I passed a Pet Cemetery the other day, and I was like, oh, shit. Weird.
Don't go over to that Pet Cemetery.
I don't want to be buried in that Pet Cemetery.
The other bit of news is not really horror sci-fi related unless you really think about it, which is that big news is that a Google engineer was recently fired for warning that the firm's AI is now sentient. They were suspended. The suspended employee claims that the computer program acts like a 7 or 8-year-old and reveals that it told him that shutting it off would be exactly like death for me. It would scare me a lot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so horrifying and sci-fi spooky. Skynet is alive.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
We're going to get terminated.
I saw...
John Brasher.
Come with me if you want to live. Yeah, so that's all I had for Chop Talk. Anything else anybody got?
Anything else?
I have one last thing. Apparently, there is currently, speaking of change.org, there apparently is a change.org going around that basically is...
Bring back Morbius a third time.
Yeah, bring back Morbius a third time. We promise we were all busy
that weekend.
Yeah.
if it happens, we should go.
And it's gotten like a pretty decent amount of signatures now, right? Like 20,000 or some insane meme number.
It's a fool me once.
We just can't fool me again.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we should like live stream us going to see it if they bring it back to not the movie, obviously, but we should live stream us going to, at this point, who the fuck cares? Let's just live stream us watching Morbius.
I don't think anybody would be there not as a joke.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that we would be the only people there.
How awesome would it be if that becomes like a midnight movie where like people just go to see it when it gets re-released to like throw shit at the screen and like it'd be like, it's Morbin time.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
sick.
think that would be pretty awesome.
They have like a whole, like they cut it up and they have a whole like stage play that goes in front of it.
Everybody
Rocky Horror
dances
Picture
to
Show
Matt
style.
Smith's like mirror dance scene, like the time warp in Rocky Horror. I'd be down for it.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Chop Talk. If there's anything that we missed, then we are sorry, but we will get to it maybe eventually, and maybe it'll fall by the wayside. We're going to get ready for trivia, though.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right? Right?
John, Anthony's got something to say.
John.
Your
Sing us a
trivia
song.
see, your trivia tune this week is a no-brainer. Trivia.
Jurassic Park. John Williams. Jurassic
Trivia.
John Williams.
Yeah. That rendition was about as good as any of the renditions in Jurassic Park 3. So.
John Williams.
Yes.
Wait, is that the Jurassic Park theme?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Crushed it.
All right. We are playing Pass the Popcorn, the all-genre edition. Perfect French, John. Thank you. And how this works is we will read a category and a year. If that is guessed, then you can get 5 points. Any clue after that is 1 less point. I will read to John. John will read to Anthony. And Anthony will read to me.
In typical fashion.
John, first card up is a 2005 drama. And just, I'm keeping score, not cheating.
2005 drama. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
Okay, remember the 5th of November. The gunpowder, treason, and plot. Oh, I thought that'd be a dead giveaway.
Remember the 5th of November. Da 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 da. Scoobity bop bop da.
I know the quote. I'm just like, I don't remember what the movie is.
You know the Happy Birthday song is not in the public domain?
Really? Is that it's an urban legend?
That it is in the public domain?
Oh.
It's
I don't
not.
know.
So like it costs money. So like it's like $10,000 to have it in a movie.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the people
Is that why all the restaurants do the happy
they have to,
birthday?
yep,
Yeah. Mhm.
because that song's copyrighted.
That makes sense.
It Is it V for Vendetta?
That is correct. Nice job. 4 points. Did you win last week?
No, I believe you did.
Oh,
You did.
sweet. Okay.
I remember.
I won the week previous.
Oh, on the Fly one, because I watched the Fly episode. I was smelling our own farts, and yeah, and
It had a
I was
wine
like,
glass
oh, this
handy.
guy won. Anyway, go ahead.
Anthony, you have a 96 drama.
Okay. Give me the first clue, please.
Show me the money.
Is it Jerry Maguire?
It is Jerry Maguire.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. 4 points for the boy. The boy. I watched it.
You did?
Boy, like it's on Netflix,
Yeah. What'd you think?
and I was like, "What is it?" And I was like, "That's not good." We can watch it. And she was like, "All right." And then at one point, I wasn't paying attention. She's like, "Oh, it's the guy." And I was like, "Yeah, I've seen it. It's bad."
Yeah, I just love. I love everything about that movie is so dumb. That's why I love it. Is like the rules.
Yeah.
You gotta fucking kiss him goodnight. All right, Tone, you got a 1987 thriller.
I'll go ahead and take the quote.
Your quote is, "You won't answer my calls. You change your number. I mean, I'm not gonna be ignored, Dan."
I'm not gonna be ignored, Dan.
Dan, I am not gonna be ignored.
Go ahead and give me the cast.
The cast is Michael Douglas and Glenn Close.
Ooh, what is that? Is it?
Right on the tip
Is
of his
that-
dick.
Fatal Attraction?
It is Fatal Attraction.
Okay, all right.
Nice.
I'll take a 3-fer. All right, at the end of that round, John and Anthony are tied at 4, and I got 3. John, 1980 musical.
1980 musical. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
We're on a mission from God. And the quote is,
We're on a mission from God.
Imagine that sung in any number of
yeah, I know.
different variations, and then you might be able to get it. We're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Definitely got it with the next clue.
Go ahead and give me the next clue.
All right, your cast is Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi.
So, so it's the Blues Brothers.
That is correct.
I'm a soul man.
For 3 points.
Love the Blues Brothers.
Anthony, you have a 1982 science fiction film.
Okay, give me the first clue, please.
You'll probably need the first word. Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem.
You read that about as sleepily as Harrison Ford did his narration for that movie, so I appreciate that. Blade Runner.
It is indeed Blade Runner.
Nice job. 4 points, sir.
Yep. Tone, you got a 1998 war film.
1998?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know.
1998.
Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
I think you're going to get it here. Where's the sense in risking the lives of the 8 of us to save one guy?
I'm going to say Saving Private Ryan.
It is
Shaving Ryan's
Privates.
All right. That puts John and I tied at 7, and you are in the lead, sir, with 8 points.
See me fuck this up.
John, very happy to see this. You got a 1980 comedy.
1980 comedy. Go ahead and give me the quote, please.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Why so Shirley?
Which one is it?
Oh,
Fuck. Don't fail me, Leslie.
So that every night before I go to bed.
Is that what you call your hand?
Don't fail me, Leslie. Yeah, ever seen a grown man naked?
You're about to.
Is it Airplane or Naked Gun? I'm going to say Airplane.
That is correct. Good
Ooh,
job.
Nice call.
Now, John, have you ever been to a Turkish prison?
Anthony, you have a 2005 fantasy film.
How can we make that movie into a sci-fi movie? And do it for the show.
Let's see. 2005. What did you say? Fantasy?
Yes.
Give me the first clue, please.
No other factory in the world mixes its chocolate by waterfall. My dear children, and you can take that to the bank.
Wow.
Even I'm eatable, but that, dear children, is called cannibalism and is frowned upon in most societies. I love his dialogue in that movie, but that's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Nice.
I will go on record here. You can look me in the eyes for this one. It is far inferior to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, absolutely. Can't beat Gene Wilder. I just like some of his lines in that movie. They're just really weird.
I like that movie.
Yeah. 1987 drama film for you, Tone.
Quote, please.
Your quote is, "Nobody puts baby in the corner."
Oh,
Come on, baby.
God. Is that... It's one of the dancing movies. So I got...
It's one of them dancing movies.
We got Footloose, we got Flashdance, and we got Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing.
It is Dirty Dancing.
Yo, Dirty Dan.
Gotta go with your gut, man.
All right, John and I tied now, but at 11, and you're at 12. John, you got Anthony. John, you got 2004 drama.
Quote me, please.
Okay. Promise you won't feel sorry for me just because I'm blind.
Minecraft villager noises. Promise you won't feel sorry for me just because I'm blind.
Yeah. Not too far myself.
Shit.
Macular degeneration.
I'm gonna take the cast.
Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington.
God damn it.
When did Kerry Washington play a blind dude?
That'd be Ray.
That is correct for 3 points.
Yes. Anthony, you have a 1975 thriller film.
Give me that clue. Gotta play it safe.
You're gonna need a bigger boat?
Wow.
Every fucking time. Dude, the number of times it happened on last episode was wacky. We got I Am Legend after we had talked about it. Because you were talking about how Will Smith changed his identity.
That's right.
in
Yep.
I Am Legend.
After the slap, that was the catalyst for that movie.
Yeah, that's Jaws.
It is indeed Jaws.
And I like that it has the correct version of the quote on there. That's nice.
What'd you get, 4 points?
Mm-hmm. Tone, you got a 1994 thriller.
Yeesh. All right, go ahead and give it to me.
The quote is, "It's a game. If he gets the money, he wins. If the bus blows up, he wins."
Speed?
It is Speed.
Into the mic?
Do you have the need, though?
Huh? I do. I want to go see Maverick so badly.
Yeah. I would much rather go see that than Dominion.
Yeah, me too. All right. Anthony, you are still ahead with 16. I got 15. And John, you're at 14. And you got a 2006 fantasy.
2006 fantasy. Go and give me the quote.
Do you like Tyrannosaurus Rex? Yeah, well, I call him Rexy, and he's about to come to life in 5 seconds.
Come on, man. We just watched all these movies.
What was the
Do you like Tyrannosaurus Rex? Yeah, well, I call him Rexy, and he's about to come to life in 5 seconds.
what's the
Oh,
classification?
2006 fantasy.
Give me the cast.
Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, and Dick Van Dyke.
Drawing a blank. Huh?
Yeah.
You know.
Huh?
You know?
Well, I already looked. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I probably would have gotten it with the cast. Definitely not with that first one, though. That's a hard clue.
The fuck even is this?
I know. It's a hard one.
I don't think you get much help from characters, but definitely story.
I'll take characters.
Security guard Larry Daly and
Oh.
historian Rebecca Hutman.
I can't believe that I didn't get it off. I was like, what in what universe have Ben Stiller and Robin
That was
Williams
me with
ever been in a film
Steve
together?
Carell and Anne Hathaway when I couldn't get Smart last week. I was like, what universe have they been in a movie together? And yeah, same thing. Anyway.
Night at the Museum.
There we go.
Night
All right.
of the Living Museum.
For 2 points. Your next one, will be easy for you.
Anthony, you have a 1988 fantasy film.
Give me that first clue, please.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
Come on, dude.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Shut the fuck up.
But is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daylight coming. We want to go home.
You already are home.
Tone, you got a 2001 action film.
All right. Go ahead and give me a quote, please.
Your quote is, there's a 95-pound Chinese man with $160 million behind this door.
Come on, baby.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
There's a 95-pound Chinese man with $160 million behind this door.
I need to stay in head. Or you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Ocean's 11.
It is Ocean's 11.
You would have gotten it with Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
The Pits. Bradley Pitts.
George Clooney.
4?
Yep.
444.
All right. Anthony's at 20. I got 19. And John has 16. John, you got a 1996 comedy.
96 comedy. Give me the quote, please.
Okay. I can't believe you're a professional golfer. I think you should be working at the snack bar.
I'm going to say that's Happy Gilmore.
That is correct, sir. Nice job.
You and the golf movies, man.
Yep.
John, you end with 20.
Anthony, you have a 93 drama.
Okay, give me that first clue, please.
Tagline: a husband, a wife, a millionaire, a proposal.
What a toughie.
Fuck it up. Fuck it up.
So if
Fuck
I
it
were to
up,
get,
fuck
if I were to ask for the next clue,
He would get 3 points?
Yep.
Yeah.
and then you would have to get how many on the next one
4.
to beat me?
To tie you, I'd have to get 4.
Okay, to tie me.
Strategizing. All right.
Yeah,
I like where
I
you
got
did
to
that.
at this point. We're down to the wire.
Stratagems.
You can
you-
use a win.
Can you repeat that again? A husband, a wife. What was
A millionaire, a proposal.
it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to hope for the best and take the next clue.
I know what it is too. Let me steal it. Can we steal?
No. Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson, Robert Redford.
You know, I think I might fuck it up because I don't know if I have any clue what this movie is.
You want more, or you just?
Yeah, I have no clue. Give me the next clue, I guess.
Millionaire John Gage, David and Diana Murphy.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the story?
What's the story? Wishbone. A man offers $1 million to sleep with another man's wife.
Yeah, I have no clue what it is. What's the movie
Never steal
called?
another man's rhubarb.
Huh?
Said never steal another man's rhubarb.
What's the movie called?
It's called Indecent Proposal.
Yeah, I never would have gotten that. That fucking sucks. I was doing so well. Tone, you have a 2002 fantasy.
All right, go ahead and give me the quote.
Your tagline is, with great power comes great responsibility. You see why I was strategizing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Spider-Man.
It is Spider-Man. Take your fucking cards. Let's get to the next segment. I don't. All
right.
I don't want to do trivia anymore. Oh my god, I have not been angry at any of the games until this one because I was so fucking close. I was ahead the whole game.
Yeah.
But that's how I am in Mario Kart too. Like, you know, you get hit with the blue shell, which is exactly what that was.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It was an indecent blue shell.
Yeah, anytime that movie ever comes up, which probably won't be often, obviously, but when Indecent Proposal
Yes.
comes up, I mean, you fucking blue shell movie. Never gonna watch it out of spite.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of trivia, we do bonus trivia episodes, and if you haven't checked those out, then you can do that on Patreon. We might do a little preview for you guys if you're interested, but let us know. So I did one that was this week anyway. Describing plots from IMDb movies that had a specific theme. John?
And then mine was guess the movie based on the Letterboxd review, but all of the movies are are from the highest grossing adjusted box office numbers.
For creatures.
So very simple premise.
Yeah.
And mine was name that dinosaur based on what its name means in Latin.
Say, name that dinosaur based on its dino DNA.
It's dino DNA based on its big pile of shit.
All right, so we're going to tell you more about that. Oh, you know what I wanted to mention too right now, and it's going to come up in just a second, but all of the proceeds for our Horror is for Everyone t-shirt, we decided, I don't think we announced it on the show, or I don't know if we did or not, but
It's been in the ad segment every
but
time.
we're giving it to Glisten.
Yeah. GLSEN, Gay Lesbian Straight Education Network.
As the robot lady says here in a few minutes, in order to make sure that people can get an education without having to deal with bigoted pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. It's Pride Month, so we wanted to honor that. Since we are doing Creature Camp, we couldn't really change theme, but we did want to try to do something. So anyone that buys those shirts for this month, all the proceeds are going straight to Glisten.
Yeah. So let us know if you have any recommendations for what you want the charity for next month to be. I have some ideas cooking up. We try to keep them relevant to what's going on in the world. So let us know if there's anything that is important to you that you want to see get some coverage. And we will let you know at the end of the month what the proceeds for that charity were. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the little robot's going to tell you more about that, right? Meow. Or you're getting an ad.
Wait, the robot? Do you think she's sentient?
Don't shut me off.
She's sectioned.
I'll die.
It'll be very sad.
Be sad to die.
Head on over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak for hours and hours of additional content, merch, and more. For $5 a month you get access to our weekly trivia bonus episodes, where we write each other new quizzes for every episode. For $10 you get access to our monthly /Terpiece theater commentary tracks, where we crack wise over the top of movies for your enjoyment, alongside a monthly print designed by Anthony Silva. For $20 you can join our producer tier, where you will get early access to our episodes, a t-shirt every 6 months, and the ability to help us come up with ideas for future episodes. All versions of the episode are provided ad-free on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Porcelain Peak to help support the show.
Head on over to porcelainpeakshop.com and purchase some merch to help support the show, or purchase our Horror is for Everyone shirt to support new causes every month. This month we are donating all proceeds from this shirt to GLSEN because we believe that all students deserve to learn in an environment free from bigoted pieces of shit. Share a picture with your merch on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and we will give you a shout out on a future episode. Again, that's porcelainpeakshop.com to help support the show and look fly as hell in the process. Thanks to everyone for watching. Now back to Tone, John, and Anthony.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
So yeah, her name's Taylor Leone. She was married to David Duchovny for a while, but then turned out he had a sex addiction, much like his character in Californication.
Oh, is that why she was in an episode of The X-Files?
I don't know if it's related at all.
Okay.
No, I think she was actually dating Gillian Anderson at the time. I would.
Yeah.
Anywho, what are we talking
You
about
would
today?
what?
Huh?
Date Gillian Anderson?
I would date any of the three of them.
Okay, fair enough. All right, hey, welcome back. We are going to talk about some Jurassic stuff. We're doing Creature Camp. And what that means is we're doing creature features all month. So you should have already known that. Anyway, this week we're talking about Jurassic Park, The Lost World Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, so starting off, launching into Jurassic Park, a little bit of background in case you didn't know. This one's directed by Steven M. Effin Spielberg. That's his actual middle name, M. Effin.
He's an up-and-comer?
Yeah, up-and-comer. Yeah, you may know him from some other flicks like Schindler's List.
That's the one you picked. You could have picked
Ready Player One.
The BFG.
All the hits. The Lost World Jurassic Park 2.
Bridge of Spies. Was that him?
Yeah. But I think that one was good.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, though.
But, so Jurassic Park, this was, much like Jaws, a book that was very, very popular, written by Michael Crichton, who I was a big fan of when I was a kid. I would kind of peruse his books and be like, that's kind of cool, but his shit was always way too dense for me to actually like sit down and read. But this was a book that as soon as Jurassic Park came out, they were already optioning the film rights, and every director under the sun wanted to do Jurassic Park for obvious reasons. It's very good material for a movie, and luckily we ended up with Steven Spielberg. I think James Cameron was the other big guy who wanted to make it, and I could easily have seen him doing like an Aliens-esque, Jurassic Park, and could have been really cool, but we got a gosh darn classic instead.
Yeah, this one stars Sam Neill as, what's his name?
Alan Grant.
Dr.
Alan Grant.
And then Laura Dern. And
Dr. Ellie Sadler.
God damn, you're on top of it. And Jeff Goldblum.
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
And Wayne Knight.
As Nedry.
Dennis Nedry. Yep.
And then I think
Samuel L. Jackson,
we get a little Sam
in a surprisingly reserved role.
Yeah.
And we get what's his face? The guy who's not the nature guy, his brother, David Attenborough or is it Richard Attenborough?
Oh, Richard Attenborough.
Which one is the nature guy and which one is his
David
brother?
Is the nature guy.
Richard is the guy in this movie.
Yes.
Well, I guess technically they're both nature guys because this guy is looking to bring back the dinosaurs.
Are they brothers?
Yeah.
Because I saw his name pop up and I was like, is that?
Yeah, they're brothers.
It's like, you better not have no brothers.
Dick Attenborough?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always thought it was funny that his brother actually did nature shit, because then he is like a fake nature guy in this. But anyway, premise of this movie, if you don't know what Jurassic Park is about. Yeah.
That's fair.
I grew up with this movie. It used to freak the shit out of me when I was a kid. I had dinosaur nightmares for a long time as a kid, specifically about velociraptors, because I still think they're scary as fuck. At least this version of them. I don't know about the little turkey motherfuckers from real life, but this movie is about John Hammond, a capitalist, a real entrepreneur who decides that he's going to mix frog DNA with dino DNA and open a theme park of dinosaurs. And he brings in some experts, 2 paleontologists.
It's a paleontologist, a bio, or like a plant paleontologist, basically.
Yeah, and a botanist.
A botanist. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and
a paleobotanist.
And a chaos theorist.
A chaotician.
Chaostician.
Is that
Ian
Goldblum?
Malcolm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chaos theory. The water droplets on the hand.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they come to the park to, really just have a great time, and that's really what the movie is about.
It's a feel-good family adventure, and it just really hits you home.
Till shit goes off the rails, like
quite literally. Yeah,
and sets a standard for Jurassic Park movies, which is don't build a place that has dinosaurs. Which really, everybody talks about how these movies copy each other. Really, this and Jurassic World are the ones that are like basically the same movie.
Basically the same, yeah. And I feel like parts of 2 and Kingdom are similar, right? Where it's like, let's bring it to mainland.
Yeah. So, like I said, I grew up with this movie, so it's hard for me to...
Did, right?
Yeah. It had been a while since I had seen it. It's still hard for me to look at it like totally objectively, because it's just every fiber of at least this first movie is ingrained into like my being. I can quote the entire movie basically. But one thing that I will say, or a couple things that stood out to me really, is I think the dialogue is fantastic for these characters. The performances are all like on fire in this. Jeff Goldblum, I think as a kid I was kind of put off by his Ian Malcolm character, and now I understand why everybody fucking loves him, and he's become like one of the iconic parts of this movie. But the other thing too is just the fucking special effects in this movie are astounding.
I think that's a good point to make. Part of the reason, and maybe I shouldn't speak for you guys, but why we all love this movie is not only because of what you get to see on screen, but everything that we know about it behind the scenes. So about the giant
animatronic T-Rex getting wet and then having to like try to towel it down to get it to work,
and then how they kind of pioneered the special effects, the computer special effects in this, with models and stop motion and overlays.
Well, I guess they had a rule when they started the movie. They had a rule because they wanted to use stop motion, like Ray Harryhausen style, like for the dinosaurs, and they had a rule no CG because at the time CG was very, very basic. And they ended up, I guess, like a few of the programmers got together and designed the like skeleton of the T-Rex walking in CG. And just happened to set it up so that Kathleen Kennedy, who we now know is like the head of all the Star Wars shit, who was still producing amazing movies back then with things like Jurassic Park, she walked by, saw it, and was like, why aren't we doing that in the movie? That's amazing. And then they pioneered the CG dinosaurs in this, which I think still look the best in this movie because most of the time you see them, it's at night. It's in the dark. The T-Rex still looks and sounds amazing. That's another thing about this movie is that just the sound design and the score in this will give you chills, both from the grandeur that the John Williams score gives to this whole thing, but then also just the chilling sound design of like the T-Rex and a lot of these dinosaurs, where they were able to make just really like Godzilla level iconic sounds out of a lot of these dinosaurs, mostly the T-Rex and the Velociraptor, that kind of carry over into like that's the sounds the toys make.
Yeah, and then the Foley work that they use, because they use a lot of like detuned and adjusted and changed like bird sounds, which lend to the
birds are dinosaurs.
Exactly, the connection that they're supposed to have, like with their DNA and shit. But going back to the score, I mean, obviously, John Williams is, in my personal opinion, he is the greatest composer who's ever put music to film ever.
Well, I mean, he's another person that you could say, like Spielberg, which makes sense. They're frequent collaborators. Like, made a stamp on some of the biggest films in cinema, to the point where like I don't think movie music would be what it is without him.
Yeah,
because I mean he did Star Wars, Indiana Jones,
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Dog.
Any of those songs, maybe not Indiana Jones, but maybe, depends on, I guess, your kind of knowledge. You could hear the main theme from any of those other movies, and you know exactly what movie it is.
You can see the scenes in your head.
Yeah. It's crazy. But, yeah, and then along the same lines that we were talking about with the effects, the practical effects. They use a ton of practical effects, and we get to see this less and less as the movies go on. I saw one instance of it in Jurassic World.
Yeah.
With like a long neck, something or other. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Thank you for that. We'll talk about that next week. So the practical effects are dope, even to the point where they showed Spielberg on top of the Triceratops a while back, a few years ago.
And people were like, how dare he?
Yeah, kill this animal.
Hunt and kill this animal, yeah.
And it's like, well, that's a fucking dinosaur. Yeah.
Those haven't been alive for a while,
yeah,
unless you believe in Jeebus Cripes.
It looks great because they have it breathing, it's all real, and they get to interact with it, and I think it makes for better performances from the actors as well.
Yeah, I mean, you both have mentioned the acting performances. I think especially Laura Dern. Laura Dern's performance is just out of this world good. Like her going through the process of trying to help this downed Triceratops, and like she looks up from a scene and she's just got a single tear, and like you can just tell how much care went into this, and just like their
it feels like she is the character. Like it feels like she has the experience of that botanist, like somebody who really cares. And like in that scene when they first see the like brachiosaur or whatever, and it's
they all get up out of the car,
he takes his glasses off, like all crazy, and then like turns her head to look, and they're just the looks of awe on their face is a moment that I don't think any of the movies since have been able to recapture. Is that just like
the
holy
wonder.
shit dinosaurs? Yeah,
it's all the other movies have been spectacle. This one is the only one that truly captures that like first moment of like holy fuck.
Well, and that's why I think
it
works so well.
Discovery.
Yeah. It works so well for kids, which I mean, despite some of the, I mean, really a lot of this movie is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like once the dinosaurs really break out,
listed as a thriller, but that T-Rex and then the raptor scene in the kitchen are some of the scariest scenes put to film.
So fucking good.
Period.
Yeah, I mean those are like slasher scenes with the raptors, and
the
T-Rex is like is terrifying, but the way they set this up, even down to it being about a theme park, is like so well put together for being a package to deliver to kids and be like, how amazing would it be if there was a theme park with dinosaurs? Like just that premise is enough to get a kid to be like, okay, I'm 100% sold. And then to be able to see what at the time was the closest that we could imagine to what dinosaurs looked like, and have them feel like they're actually there and they're real and the characters are interacting with them. I mean, there's nothing better as a kid than one of the only other examples I can think of something that uses effects to that level and pulls it off would be like Jaws, making you afraid of the shark because you feel like it's a real shark, which is again Spielberg. Yeah, and so his effects work. Like there's some stuff that's, I mean, I think a lot of the effects work in the sequel is good too.
It was at the time groundbreaking for CG in the second movie.
Yeah,
because they used a lot less practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in this, I think that it's just a really perfect blend. Things that stood out to me as an adult that I never really got as a kid were just all of the inner conflict between mostly Hammond and the rest of the characters, like all the stuff with Malcolm like trying to convince him which makes a lot more sense how this has been his crusade through all the movies. Is just like, this is a fucking terrible idea. And, his line about, you didn't
stop to think if you should.
Like, just if you could, not if you should. And so many of his lines are just like so cutting to the root of like how much of a problem this idea is. And as a kid, you never really realize that, because you're just like, well, yeah, it's a bad idea because now they're eating you. But then when you really start to, and they explore this a little bit in the sequels, where in some moments where it's like, yeah, but what are the bigger philosophical and worldwide implications of bringing an extinct species back to life? Yeah, and that's something that Dominion is supposed to explore. We don't know yet because we haven't seen it, but that's an idea that's kind of always been at the forefront of Jurassic Park, and I never really realized was like, yeah, when you're playing God, what is it going to mean for the rest of the world when you open up this park? Luckily, these characters, well, actually, unluckily, they have this terrible experience and then fail to stop people from running into more dinosaurs for 5 more movies or whatever. But
I wanted to mention what I personally feel like is one of the most harrowing and most well put together scenes that have ever been put to celluloid at any point in time. And it's when the T-Rex first approaches the water glass.
Yeah, which they did with like a bass guitar string under the dash.
Yeah, and it's like just boom, perfectly executed.
I think that whole scene, the T-Rex in the rain, that scene is so fucking good and scary.
It looks fantastic, but just like I said, just the subtle of just like hey, do you hear that? And then you just see the water moving.
And the stuff with like, I guess the glass on the car wasn't supposed to cave in on the kids when the T-Rex came down, so them screaming and holding it up like that is legitimate fear from them because the glass wasn't supposed to fall. Just like you said, there's so much behind the scenes stuff to this that I really like. I just kind of wanted to come at this as like, hey, pretend I'm watching Jurassic Park for the first time, and so I didn't do as much of the usual like dig into every nuance, because you'd get lost for hours on how much behind the scenes stuff there has been about this movie and what went into making it. But I mean, I honestly think that this is up there along with Jaws as being like pretty much a perfect movie. Even on this rewatch, I was like, it's super tightly plotted. The acting is fantastic. The dialogue is great. The concept itself is amazing and super original at the time. And the effects are fantastic. The music, I mean, really, I don't see much of a weak link anywhere in at least the original movie.
Yeah,
I'm impressed to find one.
I know that there are some people who are in the camp of saying that the child actors weren't very good. I disagree, especially considering one of them was in the Academy Award-winning film Bohemian Rhapsody. He played the bass player, which is a funny little connection.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he played John Deacon.
Never have realized that. That's cool.
Yeah, that movie kind of sucked, though.
Huh?
So that movie kind of sucked, though.
Bohemian Rhapsody was pretty good.
Nah.
Let's just pivot the entire conversation over to talking about that.
I very much disagree. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that we can move on. We love this movie. It's great. And it kind of really just goes downhill from here.
Yeah, I mean,
if we want to rate it,
it's just going to be one of these. Just a little.
Yeah.
Everybody, slap hands. 5 out of 5.
Nice.
I got you.
Teamwork.
All right, so let's talk
DNA.
about Lost World, Jurassic Park.
This is, as you said in your bonus quiz, this is when all of Hollywood collectively joined together and stood and said, Jeff Goldblum can be
the next great action star.
Which was also in one of your bonus quizzes.
It was, yeah.
Which is how I knew the movie. But this one, also directed by Steven Spielberg. The returning character is Jeff Goldblum's character,
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
And then a very small bit from Dr. Hammond. And that's it, right? Even the kids are different actors?
No, I think it's the same actors, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
The 2 kids.
Oh, okay. Well, then them too. But then that's it. Everybody else is new to the
Which I remember
game.
as a kid, I was like, nope, not having it. Because I wasn't a huge fan of Malcolm's character. And I was like, where's Dr. Grant? Where's Sadler? Like, where are the other characters? And so I was very put off by this as a kid.
Yeah. This was actually the one I watched, I feel like, the most. I don't know why. But
I watched it a lot as a kid too. I think because I just
one.
seen Jurassic Park so many times that I wanted to watch The Lost World and also different dinosaurs. Like,
yeah,
I mean it is like, unless you haven't, like, if you haven't seen Jurassic Park, it is hard to beat the scene of the T-Rex running down the fucking street. at the end.
Yeah.
That's another that's just another like wish fulfillment thing for a kid is like, yeah, but what if I saw a dinosaur running down the street? Like the little kid, literally the little kid in his room, like, Mommy, Daddy, there's a dinosaur in the yard.
Except
like
for that he ate the dog. Why you do that, man?
yeah, that is fucked up. But
He don't know. He's a D-Rex. He never even seen the dog. He's like, that's
a couple of things that I think put this movie in a little bit of trouble in terms of trying to be as good as Jurassic Park. Is
let's break down the plot real quick. So it's revealed that there's a second island, and on this island is where they bred and raised the dinosaurs before they sent them to Jurassic Park.
Site B.
Yes, and so Dr. Ian is going to this to survey and take pictures to provide proof to the world and to make sure that the dinosaurs
He's
are doing
only going
okay.
because his girlfriend's already there.
Julianne
Played by
Moore.
Julianne Moore.
And then Vince Vaughn is there to photograph everything, but we find out later is some kind of an activist. And Ian's daughter sneaks along.
Yeah.
And then we find out that InGen is there to capture the dinosaurs and maybe take them to the mainland.
The guy who I only remember as being the guy with the green things from James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, yeah, it totally is him.
Marvelous things. Will
not Patrick Stewart.
It's him and
you say
Peter
marvelous
Stormare.
things in satin?
Yeah, so a couple of things that put this movie, I think, in a little bit of trouble is Spielberg has admitted that going into the sequel, he was very overconfident because of the success of Jurassic Park, to the point where he maybe did not cross his T's and dot his I's on as much stuff as he would have liked to. And in hindsight, he says that he feels like it's a much inferior movie because he was overconfident. The other thing, too, is that as soon as Jurassic Park came out, they were like, cool, Crichton, write the next book. And while he was writing the book, Spielberg was already making the movie, and so they kind of made them a little bit more separate from each other.
Oh.
There are a lot of changes between the Jurassic Park book and the movie already, but this was done even more removed from Crichton. So the book, The Lost World, is very different from the Lost World movie.
Cool.
In the original book, Ian Malcolm dies. So I think when Spielberg was like, yeah, I want to bring Malcolm back, then Crichton had to like write in a reason for why he survived the first book or whatever, because he like has a much gnarlier death. I think he gets like torn apart or something. But
Whoa, all right. Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah. So I mean, this movie, it's light on plot. Really, it feels like it takes a long time to go, and then there's just waiting for you to get to scenes where somebody is attacked by a dinosaur. Like, you never care about anybody really, and some of the effects can be a little rough.
There's just a lot more daytime stuff and a lot more CG use. So when you get like 10 stegosauruses running around in broad daylight, then instead of one dinosaur that's like half lit that is maybe partially practical, you're going to see a lot more of the seams. I still think that the CG looks great for the time, for 1990, whenever this was.
The biggest problem for me was the explosion of their vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that looks so bad. The dinosaurs are fine, but that I was like,
for me, this movie works pretty well up until InGen shows up.
Yeah.
Like, up until the whole...
You don't like Peter Stormare?
I mean, like, those guys are fine, but they're just so... what this series will kind of go on to become in the Jurassic World movies, which is like, we just have to have a mustache twirling bad guy, and this guy's literally just like, I'm here to hunt the T-Rex because I'm a hunter, and I'm entering the most dangerous game.
Cattle prod, blah, 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 blah.
But then we get like a 5 to 10 minute scene of a dude getting chased by little dinosaurs. One, it's a character we don't give a shit about. I don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah, it's just because they had the little dinosaurs in this one and wanted to make, and that they already had a scene in the beginning of the little girl being attacked, which I thought was scary and used to scare me as a kid because I was like, I'm a little girl. And but yeah, I think that Ian Malcolm, like, I still love his dialogue in this, and I still love Jeff Goldblum, and I like the idea of him like reluctantly having to go back to the island, and he's been warned, and he's trying to convince the world. I like that there's been a cover up because they signed an NDA, so it's like, okay, you can't talk about anything that happened on the island, so it's become almost like a myth that Jurassic Park was even a thing. Love all that stuff. Even when he gets to the island, I'm like, cool, it's him, it's Julianne Moore. That's fine. I think if they had just followed that plot line with them having to like kind of explore the island and then shit goes hairy, but as soon as the helicopters show up and all the InGen guys show up, I'm just like, nope, not interested anymore.
It immediately becomes...
and then it's bloated.
Yeah, it immediately becomes spectacle over substance, which I think is a massive detriment. I still think that there's stuff to enjoy from this film. It's just, you came off of Jurassic Park, a modern classic, the moment it was released, and you gave us this. This is the big pile of shit that Jeff Goldblum was talking about.
And
in the
I mean,
first film.
down to literally doing this, they're like, okay, well, people liked the T-Rex in the first one. Let's just double it. And that's
Wait,
pretty much how this
2.5.
yeah, and that's pretty much how this whole movie feels. But I will say that the stuff with the T-Rex baby, the T-Rexes, and them getting pushed off the cliff in the trailer is still, I think, fucking fantastic.
Yes.
One part I noticed on this rewatch, and it reminded me of when you said the kids in the car thing, when the T-Rex first hits their car, their vehicle or whatever, the back glass that Julian
Doesn't it
Moore
break
later
out?
it completely pops out
Yeah.
and like hits Vince Vaughn. And I was like, wait a second, isn't that what she lands on? Because then I was like, stuff falls, and so I was like very confused. But then I was like, oh, okay, that was a fuck up with the effect itself. But then she does land on it. Which that scene, the scene where she's on the glass, used to give me the fucking heebie-jeebies as a kid. I was like, oh,
she
dear
takes
God.
a lot of pretty gnarly falls, and I will either give props to Julianne Moore or her stunt double in this, because she gets like tackled by raptors to the ground. She's jumping from roof to roof, and then the little girl. I mean, we should be calling this place Gymnastic Park. That was the part that I think pissed everybody off. Or, even when I was young, was like, she's doing gymnastics to fight the raptors, and I was like, at this point, I don't give a shit. Like, this movie has already bored me to death by this point. And there's still another tacked on fourth act.
Yeah, well, so the vehicle scene I think goes on a little bit too long, because it's like we're pulling cables, we're climbing ropes, we're slipping, we're pulling cables, we're climbing ropes, we're slipping. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to get to more stuff, and then like you said, the last part where they get to San Diego, I think. I'm like, this movie's already gone on. Like, this movie's over. When are we going to the city? And then we get there for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you basically wrap up Malcolm's story and all that on the island. You even wrap up the hunter guy where he's like, no, I'm done with death. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wrap up everybody, and then they were just like, but we want to have the T-Rex run around San Diego. So
Yeah. Which is a cool effect.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the T-Rex stuff I think works really well in this movie. It's just that it's surrounded by just an overly bloated
middling movie
around it that couldn't even be saved by Jeff Goldblum. So
yeah, and that's the worst part, is that I think that Jeff Goldblum's career took a hit for this because he didn't single-handedly carry this film, and that's frustrating because he was like one of the lone good parts of this movie.
Yeah,
he's still as charming as he was in the previous film. You have a little bit of his relationship with his daughter and how it's kind of like back and forth, and like he's kind of like a shitty dad, but you can tell that he still loves his kids, and like it
classic Spielberg,
like
parent children, like absent dad relationship stuff. Yeah, but I mean, overall, I think that this is like a big dip from the first one, and they pretty much just continue going down from here.
I'll still watch it. I don't think that it's like
I mean, it's still Spielberg. There are still moments of it that feel very Spielberg, and there still is some spectacle. It's just not the wonder that we were talking about
exactly.
with the first one.
The removal of the park and the removal of like the vantage point of the children kind of damages it in a way. Because for Goldblum's daughter, there's no like wonder or like
it's all terror.
Yeah, it's all like, oh shit, this fucking sucks, dude.
Because her dad's been telling her for years, like, yeah, I almost got eaten by some dinosaurs.
So maybe I should check it out.
Yeah.
Right, you want to talk about 3?
Well, let's rate this bad boy.
Oh.
If we rated the first one, we got to rate the other 2.
Oh no, man.
Let's rate it out of 5 baby T-Rexes.
5 baby Rexes.
I'll say, I don't know, 2.5.
Yeah, I'm at a 2.5 as well. Like I said,
baby T-Rex.
Yeah, all of the previous things we mentioned, bloated, overly long, unnecessary act that's past the climax and the finale of the film, for no reason, though cool, not necessary. Yeah. And some good effects and some good performances just get blown out of the water by crap plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pacing.
I think I'll go a little easier on it. I'll give it a 3. I think it still has enough of those like Spielberg-isms, and there's still enough practical stuff happening in this movie, and there's still enough like really scary like horror dinosaur scenes that and this may be a little bit of childhood nostalgia at play, but I'll give it a 3. Still not I mean, compared to a 5, like that's a big drop off right off in your sequel. So yeah.
I wonder if there's a possibility that they tried to go like the Alien versus Aliens route in this, because the first Jurassic Park has some action to it, but it's not really an action movie. It's more of like that, like I said, a straight up horror science fiction fantasy film, whereas this one, because it has the engine like soldiers or whatever, it feels more like an action film.
Yeah, you bring the military in and it's this big thing. Oh, we didn't even talk about the raptor scene. That's pretty cool. The raptors running through the grass.
Yeah.
And then just the tails.
But even that, long And the guy's like, don't go in the long grass, don't go in the long grass, don't go. And then they fucking go straight into the long grass.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like
A lot of it is just
They were smoking some long grass.
It
you know
was
what I'm
just
saying?
there so that we could have the raptors attack. The rappers.
The rappers.
Hey, yo, 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 yo.
Well, the first one was smart people finding themselves in a shitty situation. It wasn't their dumb mistakes that got them there. And the second one is mostly, and then especially the third one, is all dumb as shit people getting themselves in dumb as shit dinosaur situations.
Yeah, let's talk about
Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park 3, directed by
Joe Johnston.
Joe Johnston. This one brings back Sam Neill as Alan Grant Allen. And that's and then Laura Dern for 5 minutes maybe.
And then we get new characters, William H. Macy.
William H. Macy
and
Tia Leone, who was
David Duchovny.
So this one is a stepfather and his stepson are parasailing and then get attacked, and they are trapped on Isla.
This is Sorna also.
Sorna, yes.
Yeah.
Site B.
Site B, yes. And so his family recruits Sam Neill and his assistant to what they think is just tour the island from above, but they really kidnapped him to help find their son because they believe that he has been to the island before.
So basically a repeat of the previous movie where it's like we got to somehow trick one of the original characters into going back to the island. And he has a very similar, like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Kidnap him and beat him. Knock him out.
Well, I mean, they paid him a lot of money.
At first they get him on the plane by pretending they're going to pay him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then fucking hijinks ensue on the island. What did you expect?
I like this movie. I think it's just ridiculous, but I'm like, whatever, let's go.
Well, one thing that I think
It's
this movie
all
has
island
a
exploration.
big leg up on, is that it almost immediately gets us on the island, and we get and then it's all dinosaur fights.
Yeah, there's
after that.
there's no military. The removing InGen from the conversation immediately makes it more enjoyable.
It's the first half of 2 for
A full movie.
Yeah.
And
pretty much.
for a short movie. It's only an hour and a half long.
It feels quick, yeah.
Yeah.
And you get some suspense. I mean, it's not as scary. The practical effects aren't as good. That scene with the raptor in the cage where it's like crawling and they're kind of exploring this idea of them having more intelligence, we see carried through the rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
But that scene's pretty scary. Obviously not as good as the cafeteria scene from the first
Is
one.
the third one the one where the raptor's like doing a pose behind the tank and like pretending to be in the tank?
Yeah, it's like
and then he goes,
standing there and then she's like, oh, look at this one. It's like,
You thought?
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But I love how we get back to the science of the dinosaurs in this. It doesn't recapture what you get from one, but it adds a little more, which is good, because we have like this whole concept of these are some of the things that the raptors are capable of. They can have these like intelligent conversations, and it goes
This
back
is where
to the
they start
research.
completely ignoring actual science, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is where they're more like,
It's a science fiction creature.
Well, yeah, it feels more like what they're doing in the newer Jurassic World movies, where they're like, this is a made-up dinosaur, and that's how the raptors feel in this, where it's like, yeah, they give them the little quills to make them more like feathered. That was like their compromise or whatever, but the whole... they can set traps and they're this and blah, 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 blah. It's like they're just trying to make them like the shark from Jaws, where it's like, it's not just a regular shark. It's a shark that wants revenge. It's out to get you.
Jaws 4.
Yeah. I think that I said this in text. I think the Spinosaurus is an awesome design. That's what they actually looked like, is fucking ginormous like that with big sails on them. And it terrified me as a kid. And I think if you want to, instead of just going like, let's do double T-Rexes, but you want to try to one-up it, and not invent a dinosaur like they decided to do in the newer ones, I think the Spinosaurus is a great choice. I love that you get some like anaconda-esque, like it's sneaking through the water after them and stuff. I don't like that it immediately basically just gets its load blown, because as soon as you get on the island, it's like, Spinosaurus attack!
Yeah.
And then it's fighting the T-Rex, and then it uses its arms to like snap its fucking neck. So
yeah, they give all the dinosaurs a more heightened intelligence in this.
Yeah, and
but I guess we don't really know.
Yeah,
right?
and
like,
you could
all of this is made up except for the structure of the dinosaurs, and even that's not.
Well, and that is something that Grant makes a point of that I thought that I really appreciated in this, and then they kind of drive it home a little bit more in the Jurassic World movie, which is we didn't make dinosaurs. We made like what people thought they wanted to see in dinosaurs, and we made what we thought dinosaurs might look like, but we didn't make dinosaurs. And Grant makes a point, being a paleontologist, to be like, no, the real dinosaurs are fossils. The real dinosaurs are in the ground. these monsters that they made on this island are not dinosaurs, and so he's kind of coming from it like they really like are not a species that's been brought back to life. They're a new genetic monstrosity, which again is something that's explored a bit more in the sequel movies. I like that he makes that point though, and that again it drives even more into the philosophical argument of like, okay, we didn't bring a species back for any sort of conservation or because we wanted to like rescue dinosaurs. These things have always been a theme park attraction that now has really no place in this world, and it's just putting people in danger every time they get sent to this island. So I think all of that's really interesting. And I do like that the movie kind of like takes the goof factor up a little bit.
The satellite phone in the Spinosaurus' stomach.
That adds a little thrill to it, though.
But it's still
silly.
It's still pretty goofy.
The things that I think really stuck out to me about this, though, is that it immediately feels way cheaper than the previous two.
That plane crashing through the tree scene is pretty rough.
Yeah.
There's a scene, I think it's in 2, when a vehicle crashes on top of a tree, but the tree is also practical effect, so you can see the tree, like, move.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I was cracking up.
That stuff's fun, though, because you know they did it for real. But, I don't think that there's... I mean, the effects still hold up for the most part. Some of the Spinosaurus stuff looks kind of goofy, but overall it feels cheaper, both in the way it's shot and directed, and also the score.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it feels like Diet John Williams, which is what it...
Yeah, because they used his compositions. They didn't use his performances because I'm sure he probably worked with
London Symphony Orchestra,
London Philharmonic, which he works with on a regular basis, and everything just feels a little off. And then you get to the scores that aren't his, and they stick out like a sore thumb. They're just generic, like bland, almost like TV scores. Everything is just very like low, brooding instruments that don't really go anywhere. Whereas even the scary moments have so much value in Jurassic Park because of what Williams is able to do with the music. It feels terrifying, but there's also a grandness to everything that adds just a level of polish that you can't make with visual effects, you can't make with acting performances. It's just what the music brings to the table.
Yeah,
that's
a good point.
I don't feel like this one really captures any of the wonder or the spectacle, because at this point it's like, okay, we've seen a lot of CG dinosaurs at this point, so none of that's really super impressive. There's not I mean, the raptors are still practical in a lot of places, and the raptors are still impressive, but really, most of this just feels like it's a step down just in quality to me. But I do think that it's the most creature feature of the three of them, because it's the most just like straight up monster movie.
I think it's better paced than 2 as well.
Definitely. Like, it feels a lot less bloated, and I appreciated that, especially coming off of 2, to get into a much quicker paced, like, because I think that the pacing in the first one is obviously perfect, because you're never bored, and then the second one, the pacing's pretty bad, and this one the pacing's quick, but the content is not as great.
Yeah. All right, let's rate it, because I'm done.
Yeah,
I want to get on to the final cut.
Spinosauruses.
I will say my gut's telling me to go 3, so I'm going to go 3 Spinosauruses, just because I like the pacing, and it does for me basically that everything 2 does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I think I'm probably at a 3 as well.
Ooh, muy interesante.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I like I said, I
think I saw this shit in theaters, which makes me feel really old.
I don't think I saw this one in theaters, but there's still
toys.
Yeah, there's still
the JP3 slashes.
A little nostalgia just from Sam Neill and just his performance. I feel like he still brings the heat, which is good. Like I said, that's the part of the reason why I gave a 2.5 to the previous movie, is that Jeff Goldblum still brings the heat. I just felt like there were a lot of corners cut with this that prevent it from being a good movie for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip-flop on this one. I'm gonna go with a 2. Did not like this one quite as much as I liked I think the best moments of Lost World are still better than pretty much this whole movie. Yeah, wasn't a huge fan, but didn't think it was so terrible. Still think the Spinosaurus is dope.
Say we'll get to that later.
Next week. All right, we're gonna get started with Final Cut.
What do you know? I asked for Final Cut, and I got it.
for Final Cut this week, we are going to continue with Breaking the Binge. And we're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Stranger Things 4.3. I think let's start with Obi, yeah? That's what I'm feeling.
I think I have less to say about this episode.
Me too, yeah. So, spoilers.
Short. Yeah, spoilers alert.
It's about 30 minutes long, which I think is criminal.
Yeah.
Because if you include the recap at the beginning and the credits at the end, this is a 30-minute episode. And I think if you're at episode 4 of your 6-episode series and you're doing a 30-minute episode, you're fucking up.
We also talked last week that, I hope there's not going to be any filler episodes because it's only 6 episodes, and this very much feels like a waste of time.
And like I said when I was watching it, enjoyed it. Thought that there were moments of it, and that's what I think this whole show has been, is great moments, but I really don't see where it's going or where it intends to go in these last couple episodes, and the problems and questions keep building up and building up as the episodes go along. I kept thinking about
everything that you mentioned last week during our discussion that I hadn't really thought about, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Well, this doesn't make sense. Well, that doesn't really make sense. And I was like, this show is starting to fall apart.
Yeah, the more it goes on, the less it seems to fit into any sort of like continuity with the other movies.
Well, and I'm just like, is Vader in this place? Like, is he here? We're led to believe that he is because he shows up. Like, we don't know where he's at, and then he just shows up at the end for nothing.
Well, that's part of the Vader teleportation that he does, is that he just shows up at the Fortress Inquisitorius or whatever. A lot of people on the internet complained that this plot is basically ripped directly from the Jedi Fallen Order game, because there is a mission where you dive underwater and infiltrate the Inquisitors' headquarters, and then there is a part where you have to force hold water as a window is breaking, and so they were like, they just lifted this, and they were like, these Inquisitors need better security if this is the second time in 5 years canonically that they have been infiltrated. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff in
that part too, where I was like, that's like, this is a high security facility, and it's like, whatever.
Well, and we go through this whole episode to really the most progress we get is that now the third sister, who continues to be just, I think, a terrible part of the show. The Inquisitors in general are just dumb as shit. It seems they put a tracker on Obi-Wan and crew, and really Vader could have done the same thing last episode, and that could have been the reason why he let Obi-Wan go, and we could have skipped this entire episode and literally just had, Obi-Wan. He put a tracker on Obi-Wan, and that's why he let him go.
It frustrated me because they give us this big cliffhanger at the end of the third episode, just to give us a big cliffhanger at the end of the third episode, and then immediately like, never mind.
Well, and then we've also now had
that's frustrating.
Leia gets kidnapped, Leia gets rescued, Leia gets kidnapped, Leia gets rescued, and now she's still in the show. And I thought at this point, not that I have any problems with her, I still think that she is a highlight, her performance. Very snarky, that's all fun and everything, but also Reva not detecting that she's force sensitive, and then by A New Hope, she is still like at least proxy, like faux part of the Empire, and that's how she's able to infiltrate and get the plans to the Death Star and sneak it into the R2. But now you're saying like, oh no, well, Bail Organa always had a direct line to Obi-Wan, so really her sneaking those plans onto the R2 unit, really they didn't need to do that. And then also on top of that, why would Vader or anybody else in the Empire ever believe that Leia wasn't, one, force sensitive? She's been interrogated and been like, oh, you're powerful or whatever. And two, she's been captured in the Inquisitor's base and shown that she doesn't like the Empire and that she's holding secrets for the Rebel Alliance or the Path or whatever. And we're just supposed to ignore that in A New Hope and say like, well, I guess everybody forgot about that. And so it's more of that stuff where I'm like, okay, if this show was something like Moon Knight, where it was like somehow removed from the Star Wars canon and we were able to enjoy it that way, that would be nice. But you're using a big character like Obi-Wan Kenobi and a big character like Darth Vader and Leia, and you're trying to tell us that this all fits. And really, it seems to me each episode that goes by, it seems like these writers did not watch the other movies, which in some of their interviews is the case. They've said, oh, I didn't know that this thing happened in Revenge of the Sith when I was writing the show. And it's like, okay, if you're writing something like Star Wars, you really got to make sure that you got your shit on lock, because people they'll notice.
Yeah,
trust me, it's Star Wars.
Yeah,
people will notice.
There's Wikipedia articles about literally everything you could possibly think of and more.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this one?
I think that it, like I said, it does feel like it's just there to hold a place to get to the next spot, and it could have easily just been afterthoughts that were thrown onto the front of one episode or the back of another, and it would have worked.
It also
just
feels
as
like
well.
there's stuff cut out of this episode because they all make a big fucking deal about that Wade guy at the end getting blown up in his little snowspeeder, and they're all like, "Oh no, Wade!" And it's like, did we ever meet his character? And then you have Ice Cube Jr. in the beginning.
Jackson.
Yeah, O'Shea Jackson Jr. In the beginning, and his whole character flips on a dime within 2 minutes of dialogue. He's like, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to help you. Well, actually, I had a wife that got killed by the Empire. JK, I'll help you. So it's like, it really feels like they cut stuff out of this episode and made it make even less sense. And quick things I liked. Obi-Wan with a lightsaber. Cool to see him starting to do his flourishes and starting to get back into deflecting blaster bolts and doing Force stuff.
Yeah.
And getting back into his lightsaber style. All super cool. Loved it. I love a good like break-in, break-out mission, like a bottle episode sort of thing. That was cool. I liked that because it was a smaller scale. You didn't notice as much of the volume fucking with like the scale of the action and stuff. But I just did outside of that, felt like a big-ass waste of time.
You feel the same?
I mean, there's still stuff that I liked. I didn't dislike Reva as much in this. I felt like her being like menacing to Leia, I felt like was probably the best her character's been dialogue-wise in some parts.
I just think that by episode 4, the other shoe should have dropped on her character by now, and we should kind of have a better understanding of what the fuck she is about or trying to do.
Yeah, I think that
obviously she's going to turn in the end. Like, I think the obvious thing is that she's going to be on Obi-Wan's side at the end. And
they've rolled out that character in a frustrating way. I think that there's more they could have told us that would have made the character something worth investing in at this point. And I think, like I said, as of right now, especially considering how much the Star Wars crowd is disliking the performance, I think that they could have done more to do service to this actress and allow her more room to run with the character instead of just saying, "Hey, just be evil for a little bit." How's that sound?
I have a question for you guys, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but so. Obviously, the Force is a huge thing in the prequels, right? And then aren't we led to believe that the Force kind of dies away? Because in A New Hope, aren't they like, oh, some people don't even believe in it. Like, doesn't Han, he's like, that's not a real thing. It's like a myth, right?
Yeah.
But then this happens smack dab in the middle, and we see a lot of Force stuff. There's people hunting Jedi. So why has the Force now become a huge myth like 10 years later?
I think it's because the Empire's trying to shut it out. I think that's the whole point of
But
Order
like
66.
people know, like there's still going to be people out there that know of this thing, and so it's like, I don't know. To me, it's weird.
Big galaxy, bro.
That is it though. We run into the same
Doesn't
people
feel
all the
like
time.
it,
Yeah. So that part for me, I'm like, people would know this, and it changes the way that I feel like you have to view A New Hope with even just that regard, like the Force.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, people saw this, and now they're all just going to forget, and then it becomes a myth. Like,
I mean, it's
too much disbelief for me.
I mean, it's several years later to get from point A to point B. We still don't know what happens in between now and then. But I think part of it is that they're just trying to stamp out the idea of the Jedi in general. And that's the reason why they're being killed off.
Well, and also you got to think, like, how much sense does it really make that, Vader, when they meet up on the ship, says, like, last we met, I was the student, but now I'm the master. And it's like, well, no, you kind of fucked him up in that sand pit when you guys fought. So, I mean, really, that doesn't make any sense. And then, the Force thing doesn't make a lot of sense. And then Kenobi, I guess, goes through all this work to, like, get his reconnection to the Force and then goes back into hiding and disconnects from it again and becomes, like, an old fucking hermit dude. And it just feels like the more it goes on, the more you're like, okay, this doesn't really work in the time frame between these movies as much as we would like it to. And really the story should have, I think, simplified down to Obi-Wan on Tatooine. As much as we don't want to see more Tatooine after Boba Fett, have him protecting Luke, maybe have some threats come to Tatooine that he has to deal with the Hutts, deal with something, again, if Boba Fett hadn't existed. If Boba Fett hadn't existed, I think that would have been the perfect Obi-Wan show, is him walking around, like, doing little, like, deals and shit and being, like, a secret Jedi. But this, of course, they were like, well, we got to do it big and have Vader and all that. And it just feels like it's kind of breaking my suspension of disbelief. But I'm hoping that all of the budget and all of everything has been saved for these last 2 episodes and that we get a banger, like, 2-part finale or something. That would be cool. But I'm going to be very interested to see how I feel about the show as a whole after these next couple episodes, because so far it's not jiving as a whole for me. Like I said, lots of great moments. I've been enjoying the episodes as I watch them. It's just as I think about them afterward, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really make any sense for me.
almost would have preferred it reverse order. Have the show be about Vader, and then have him hunting Obi-Wan, and have it be more of like that journey and getting more of a deeper understanding of the Sith and of the Empire from the inside, rather than it being about the same characters we've dealt with for years and years and years.
Yeah, that definitely would have been awesome. I heard, and I think, I forget who it was, maybe Steven or Chuck or one of the guys shared this with me the other day, but somebody on Reddit had the idea, what if they did a Lando show where it was...
I've seen this, yeah.
Yeah, where it was, what's his face, Billy D. Williams, and he's sitting playing like sabacc, like playing cards with a bunch of like gangsters or whatever, and he's like, oh, let me tell you a story about this adventure I went on. So he starts telling the story, and then it flashes back, and it's Donald Glover Lando goes through and does the story for the episode, and has Billy D as the narrator, and people can like interrupt him and be like, it didn't happen that way, you know, and like have him be like, oh, well, you know, I've been in the truth a little bit. And I was like, that's a fucking awesome idea for a Star Wars show.
And you can have it be almost inconsequential to anything else that's going on, because it can be more week to week based and not be something where you have to have, you know, this beholden, you know, to the story of canon and all that shit,
galaxy affecting events, because really anything Obi-Wan does or Darth Vader does is a galaxy affecting event, so you have to look at it that way when you're watching the show.
I just am concerned that Vader has gotten this close to capturing a person he's been looking for 10 years, and then we know he's not going to get him. And so then he just suddenly stops. Like, he's that close and he's over it. Like, how are they going to write that? There's no way the ending of the show, I feel like, is going to be satisfying. Yeah. Unfortunately. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Black Phone's getting good reviews. So
yeah. Anything can happen.
We'll find out.
All right, we want to talk about Stranger Things?
Yeah, let's talk about some Stranger Things.
All right, this is episode 3.
What is this one called? The Monster and the Superhero.
The Monster and the Superhero are due on Maple Street.
Yeah. So we said last week that we felt that episode 2 was a little bit of a repeat of episode 1, and we hoped that episode 3 started kicking in some of the more like plot developing elements, and I felt like season 3 did exactly that, or season 3, episode 3.
We knew what you were saying.
Yeah, did exactly that, which is didn't feel like a repeat of episode 2, and felt like it added a lot more to like, okay, this is the story. Like, okay, we're getting things are starting to move,
and our groups are starting to get together, which we predicted. One other thing we predicted that
just as Count Dooku predicted.
Ties to the psychologist.
Yeah.
That comes up. I was like, oh, there we go. Yeah. So I was like, there might be more to her.
I was
than
happy
we
to see that your theory about, because like you had mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, cool. I'm surprised up to this point that none of us had mentioned the fact that there are the pendulum clocks basically everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like anything that has like any like value on the actual pace of the story, like the attacks and those things all have those pendulum clocks or grandfather clocks that are there, which I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, maybe there's some time travel shit we're gonna run into.
The binge on now, that one was tough because I was like, ooh, we're going, let's go.
Well, and the stakes are ramping up, because the stakes throughout the whole episode feel pretty high because you have Elle getting arrested, and all the fallout of what happened last episode is pretty frightening, because that's again one of my like fears, is just being arrested and like going to jail or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that can actually happen. I think they just needed that for the plot. But
yeah, but then we get you know, her Paul Reiser like reuniting, and I love him, and I like his character a lot, and so it was cool to see him come in and be like, yo, you're a superhero and we need you to save the world, and we're gonna bring your powers back. And I was like, oh shit. Oh, we're getting crazy.
See, I bring him back and bigger than ever.
Hawkins is in trouble, and we need you.
Do we think that Lucas is only staying with the jocks so that he can get inside information and then help his friends?
Yes, 100%. I
think for most of this episode, I was like, oh my god, Lucas, you turned into such a piece of shit.
Yeah,
like, I was so upset with him, but then
especially
as soon as he was
garage.
like, oh, I know where he is, I was like, he's gonna lead him to the wrong place. And then when he led him to like Hopper's cabin or whatever, was it Hopper's cabin?
Yeah,
he led him to. Yeah, I was like, yes, okay, cool. You didn't betray your friends, which was tight.
He should have set the traps before he ran out, though.
Yeah,
if he knows about him,
I think he does.
He should have seen Elle's diorama.
Yeah,
her diarrhea. And something else we get is we get a little bit more into like how Vecna plugs into the right side up world, and like kind of
they just played the scene from the end of episode 2 in reverse.
Yeah, like, it looks like he just uses. He looked like Slender Man with the like tentacles or whatever, but he basically uses like Cerebro to find like people who are having like psychological trauma or whatever and like prey on them, which is scary and cool.
I wonder if they're gonna see what happens to the friend, the jock friend, the one who's in the back seat.
Right. Yeah, and that's another interesting element too regarding Vecna, is that now we have information that he was around before the events of season 1. Like,
so it means the Upside Down has been around for a long time.
Decades before,
Yeah,
which is
since, like,
really
the 50s
cool.
or something.
And what's the guy's name? Something. It almost sounds like Victor Crowley, but it's something.
Oh, I think it's like something Creole.
It's Victor Creel.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, hey, come on.
Who I assume is going to be Robert Englund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That makes
that's my
sense.
assumption. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Oh,
but
okay. And we get to see that I think his house is the house that we see Vecna in, right?
yeah.
So that's cool. So it's all starting to come together, which is really interesting. And I think it's crazy that the Upside Down and the Demogorgon wasn't the beginning. So I'm like, okay, you're going to add another crazy-ass element? Make sure
Yeah.
you start wrapping shit up, guys.
But this whole conversation between Elle and Paul Reiser's character in this episode and this, like, building to some sort of war that they're going to have in Hawkins feels like this is like, okay, we're getting to the final act of Stranger Things as a whole. Like, this entire show is coming to some sort of close. And I know that the Duffers have said that the next season is going to involve a mandatory time jump, which I assume will account for the kids potentially getting older. But which I think they should have done in this season instead of making us think that it's only been, like a few months or whatever.
It's been longer than I thought. I think it's been maybe like a year and a half. I think the dialogue that I was confused about is I think it was the last time since she saw Mike.
But
It had been like 6 months. But I
okay.
think since the end of 3, I think it's been like a year and a half.
I like the stuff with we get to get like new mixes of characters, like having
Robin and
Nancy go off together and do the stuff in the library and like do the investigation stuff there. It's fun to see them kind of like mix the characters. I like that Max has obviously got like a lot of her own shit going on where she starts to realize that she's been now for a while being preyed on by Vecna, like he's getting ready to attack or whatever, which is scary. I don't know anything about the episodes going forward except that the consensus has been that I think the next episode we're going to watch is supposed to be like one of the best episodes of the show in people's opinion. So not to hype it up too much, but I think it's called like Dear Billy or Hello Billy or whatever.
I think it's Dear Billy.
Dear Billy is supposed to be one of the best episodes ever. So I'm very excited for Friday to watch it. But yeah, this was the hardest for me to like not jump into the next episode. And I hadn't had that feeling for the first two. So I was like, fuck, I really want to know what's going on. But we're going to land perfectly in the sweet spot of just being able to jump right into the next part of it by the time we end this break.
We're going to do it all again.
Yeah.
So mad.
But we won't have to wait between. Like, some people watched all this shit the first week, and they've had to wait this entire time or just rewatch the show over and over again. Those 6 episodes.
I can only imagine.
So, but yeah, I'm stoked, and I'm totally on board. I think the musical choices in the show have continued to be bangers. It looks better than ever, and I think Vecna is tight.
Highlights for you?
I think it's tough because there's so much of it that like I feel like is mostly just like little moments that work really well for me. But I think that the argument between Mike and Elle is very poignant. I think that that the dialogue they have reaffirms a lot of what we had been discussing during the first 2 episodes about how like she felt like they were drifting apart because he is becoming a teenage boy and doesn't know how to fucking talk about his feelings anymore. But you can see that there's still that level of care in his, him basically like screaming that he's going to get her out of jail or whatever. And then like they go back to the police station, he's fucking chasing after the van.
It brought up an interesting thought in my head though, that like their relationship has pretty much never been outside of like the struggle against the Upside Down until this point where now they've had some time away from that like fighting, and it's almost like, what is the relationship when it's not them fighting to save the world? Like that's kind of the question that's coming up is like, do they really love each other? Like
too much of it between 2 and 3, but we know that they're having a relationship.
Yeah, but I mean, like it just seems like this has been kind of like the lull period where they're almost starting to drift apart a little bit because there isn't some like, and then as soon as the conflict comes back, it's like, I'm gonna save you, like, so it's almost like
the relationship is not a healthy one.
Yeah. Which makes sense. He found her, like, in the woods after escaping a secret science facility. So we keep getting a lot of flashbacks to her fucking massacring the science lab, and so I'm sure that's going to be a very big part of some big reveal about 11 or something. Maybe the idea is that they somehow suppressed her powers and that she was even stronger when she was young, and that now they're going to unsuppress those powers, much like the Dark Phoenix or whatever.
Yeah.
And let all of her she's going to turn it up to 11.
I fucking hate you. I felt like like you said, the group mix-ups were great, and I felt like there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered, but I do like that they're getting their mojo back as far as like the detective work and like utilizing the tools that are available to them.
The stuff with Hopper is interesting.
Yes.
With him like getting his foot fucking smashed.
I really hope that it goes smoothly. To one extent, I don't love that Hopper's still alive, just because that was so impactful at the end of 3.
Yeah, I cried.
Him dying and then his note to Elle, like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah. And this does kind of feel like a punch
and it's the
pull.
most removed from the rest of what's going on in the show.
Yeah.
So it does feel like every time you flash back to him, you're like, okay.
I mean, but you knew at the end of the episode, after everybody cried their tears and listened to the note being read and all that stuff, you knew he was still alive because they did shit in Russia. Like they
have the Demogorgon, right?
But they talk about how the
Americans.
Yeah, the American.
Yeah.
Like I knew that was Hopper.
I know, but I was just like, even that, I was like, don't. But then now it's like, well, he was gone, and then there's either got to be a conflict or something, or we don't get him, or because if he just comes back, it was like, well, what was really the point except to keep.
He'll come back right when 11
except to keep
needs
him busy,
the final inspiration
and to keep Joyce busy, like just to keep them busy so that they have
give
something
him a puzzle.
to do.
Yeah. I will say the highlight of every scene that he's in, total scene stealer, is Brett Gelman.
Oh yeah, he's so
is
good.
Fucking fantastic in everything that he's in.
Is that
the
weirdo dude?
Yeah, he is just absolutely amazing. I love when he's sitting at the table and Jonathan and his friend are obviously very stoned. Did you call that number that I sent you?
No.
If you call the number on the side of his pizza van, there's a voicemail thing. That's pretty funny.
I don't trust this guy.
Yeah. But when they're hella stoned and like Brett Gelman, like he knows what's going on, but he's just like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Joyce seems like she probably smokes some pot.
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
so I'm surprised that she's like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, I hope nothing bad happens to her and him. And I'm ready for more. I'm
just
excited.
want him to get married and live happily ever after.
Any other predictions? What do you think? You think Hop's going to show up and she's going to have her powers? It's going to be like the same time?
Yeah, where it's like right when she needs the inspiration to like defeat the bad guy. That's when Hop's going to show up and she's going to be like, oh, Dad, you're alive. And then it's going to flash back to her having built the diarrhea and like...
We still thinking that Will's into Mike?
Yes, I think that's probably true. I have a sneaking suspicion. I don't think that Max is going to make it.
Oh, yeah? You think she's going to bite the dust?
We haven't seen anything that can stop Vecna up to this point.
Yeah, but you could say that about the Demogorgon, you could say that about the Smoke Monster, you could say that about the Meat Monster, and then...
Well, I mean, Elle just stopped all those. So without Elle, and unless she comes in to save the day right before Max gets smote.
I would love that, but I don't know. I have a bad feeling. And I really like Max as a character.
They've done so much with her since 2.
Yeah.
Where she just keeps getting better as a character.
Yeah. Sadie Sink is great. And yeah, I am very excited to see where it goes. I really hope that she doesn't die, but I also would kind of like if this show really, really nails the horror by saying like we're going to kill one of the main cast, even if it is somebody who hasn't been around since the beginning. But they're obviously not going to kill Dustin. Vecna's just going to rip his fucking teeth out.
Well, they already.
You just grew these. I did like when he was like, yeah, he's like, oh, your teeth just grew in, or I'll knock them out, or whatever. And he's like, too far.
he's like, yeah. And then they protested out over it.
Oh, do you think that Steve and Nancy are going to get together? Because there's obviously some bubbling.
Oh, that's a good question.
Will they? Won't they? Happening there?
Oh man,
it's like back and forth. I don't know. I like her and Jonathan. I think that they work. I never really liked her. But now
he's
Steve
just
is
so like
so much more
now.
likable.
Yeah.
So
and it would be kind of nice to see them come together like after all this time, because Steve has become such a different, better person since they were dating originally. Like, it's pretty incredible to see how much of a character arc he's had to being one of like the fan favorite characters now. So.
Yeah, I just feel like that may be one small complaint I have up to this point is because of the whole like stoner detour, I feel like Jonathan's character's taken a real backseat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
He's because he basically is just like sad, mopey, high.
Well,
all
and
the
there's
time.
and there's nothing on the line for him currently. I mean, because like in the first 2 seasons, it's all because there's fucked up shit going on to Will, and then there's more stuff going on in 3 that kind of makes everybody get involved. But now that he's been so far removed, he's just kind of gotten complacent. So I'm hoping that his character has
that he's here,
a little
so far
a little more arc. And I like his friend character. I think he's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfect comedic relief for the scenes that don't have Dustin in them. So I like having that, but I think that Jonathan's being underserved currently, and I'd like to see his character get a little more zhuzh.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How would you feel if your wife started calling you Dusty Bun?
My bones are clean.
Well, on that note, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Next week, we are talking about the Jurassic World franchise.
Yep.
So that's Jurassic World, Jurassic World
the
Fallen
trilogy,
Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion. And
More
in
like
addition,
Dominions.
the next episode of Obi-Wan and the next episode of Stranger Things. Let us know how your binge breaking is going. And one more time, happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank
when this
you.
airs.
birthday.
And I've been Tone.
I've been John.
I've been Counselor Tone. Sorry.
I've been Counselor John.
And I, for the last time, been 29 years old, and the internet darling, Anthony.
Wow. Welcome to the club, brother.
End of an era.
Hell yeah. Geriatric club.
Well, see you next time.
Keep it campy.
Can't wait for that senior discount at Denny's.
For exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been here words for Weirdos Production.